All right, we'll keep rolling with Coach Mark Snyder. In the back, Sam, seated.
Mark, what were your thoughts on Otara Laka and Josh Walker's play on Saturday?
I thought they played pretty well. The thing I was most proud of, Sam, is the things that we practiced game week getting ready for this game, they came out in a totally different offense. And we had to adjust and switch a little bit, and I thought those guys handled it pretty well. Very pleased.
Standing in the back, Daryl, bringing it around.
Coach, you guys have had some difficulty, as a lot of teams have, stopping mobile quarterbacks. Can you talk about Nick Marshall, and will you do anything different maybe to try to slow that cat down?
Yeah, the hard part with this particular week is all the great players surrounding him. It's hard to draw a beat on one guy when you have a couple wideouts that's really good, stable of running back that's really good, a group of tight ends that's really good. You got to kind of be careful where you pick your poison, and that's what makes them so difficult to defend. It's not just Nick; it's all the people around him.
Right here in front, Kate.
Mark, you've been a head coach. You're a veteran coach. How have you seen Kevin handle this rough stretch this last month?
I think he's handled it great. It's difficult. It's soul searching. I've been there before. I think he's handled it supremely well, and went back to basics, the fundamentals, all the things I'm sure he's talked to you guys about in the bye week, which is what needs to happen. And anytime you go on a losing streak like we did there, it's time to refocus, relook at what we're doing ourselves, myself, who we're playing, and you open things up, and surprise, surprise, you find out that some young guys have grown up a little bit, and you move on from there.
Seated in the very back, Mike.
Coach, with your bend and not break defense, what did you think about it this past weekend, being able to hold them to field goals and everything? And
Bend but don't break. Yeah, it was good. The object's to win the game, and with the way the game was being dictated, it's hard to get on people. If one guy falls down, it's 6, okay? And, we just didn't have that kind of margin this week to allow something like that to happen. Again, credit to our players. We was able to get into our dime package and get Nick Harvey in the game and get on him, if you will, but I still had 2 guys behind him, okay? And that led to about 4 sacks because we was able to get on him. If somebody did fall down, we had somebody to capture the guy and live to see another down. It's all predicated on how the game's going, gang. I mean, if we're winning by a whole bunch, it's easy to jump on people. If it's a tight game, you got to jump on people. You guys saw that at Alabama. After the long punt return, I jumped on them and got in man, and what happened? They scored in one play to take that thing into the 30s. So it's a fine line there. But again, proud of our guys. Again, being able to jump into a new package that really we hadn't worked on. We were saving for this stretch we're getting ready to come down. And for those kids to go execute was pretty nice.
Here in the front right, Gabe.
Coach, we got to see Reggie Chevis on the field. Do you think this was one game against ULM, throw him out there, see what he can do, or what can you speak to about the fact that he was a linebacker 3-4 weeks ago?
I know.
How about his effort to
It was good.
get on the
Reggie
field?
was good. He showed us some things at practice. He's become a faster player because we put him down. I tell him the story all the time. I had a kid when I was at Minnesota. I recruited, was a great linebacker, blah, blah, blah. I ended up leaving. They ended up moving him down. He ended up going to the NFL. And it still calls me to this day. It was the best movie ever made. This was a game where they started going spread. That obviously after the first quarter, they weren't going to try to run it on us. So we felt like it was a chance to get Reggie in the game and get his feet wet and see what he looked like out there.
Could you see more of him this year?
Possibly. We'll see. We'll possibly. I mean, if we go against another spread team that's throwing the ball a lot, you'll see Reggie again. Yes.
Seated in the back left,
Coach, someone was mentioning DeShazer Everett and his injury and that he might be iffy for this weekend. His status is still unclear, but if he can't go, with him being your leading tackler, you're going to be asking a lot from your other guys as well, correct?
Absolutely. And that's what this week's about. That's why you come here, right? We're going to go play with 2 really good receivers. I mean, number 1 is really good guys. We all know about Sammy Coates. Number 1 is special now for these guys. So we'll have our hands full. That's what makes it exciting. That's why we go play, right?
Staying in the back, Daryl.
Speaking of that excitement, playing the number 3 team in the country that hasn't lost at home in 2 years, are you guys kind of excited about that challenge and saying, hey, I know we've been down, but we're ready to see if we can answer the bell?
Yeah, I think there's some of that. It'll be interesting to see how, when they get into that stadium, I got to say this, 2 years ago going over there, I left that place saying, this is one of the nicer environments I've been in my college career. When they let the War Eagle go and the crowd goes crazy, now they're all gone at half. But the beginning of the game, that was a pretty neat experience now. And it'll be interesting to see how our guys react. We're going to play some young guys again. They've earned it. And they're going to play on our side of the ball, and they're going to go play fast. We're going to allow them to play fast and see if we can match their talent. It'll be interesting to see how they handle the environment, though. And that's the fun part of college coaching.
Over on the left side, Aubrey.
This might be an obvious question, but is the fact that on the offensive side, in this particular game, they kind of scaled it back, a lot of max protect, a lot of running the ball. They weren't as up-tempo. Does that change what you do on the defensive side?
I really didn't have time because we had to adjust. They came out, and after about midway through the first quarter, I'm like, guys, I'm getting calls in my head, personnel groupings, and they're empty. And, I'm calling defenses that we thought that we would work against what we practiced all week. And so we had to adjust. We had to get on the sideline and go, hey, guys, I don't want to hear any more personnel groupings. They're going empty, and they're throwing the ball. They're going to try to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands. We got to get to a new system, a new package. And we were too busy doing that, to be honest with you, to see what was going on the other side of the ball. I just look at the score and the time. And that dictates a lot of how I call the game, no doubt.
Over on the left side, Suzanne.
DeShazer, if he can't go, who would get the start?
Well, it will be 2-8-1 if DeShazer can't go. So we'll see as we roll down through here. Again, like I said, we were able to get Nick Harvey in the game Saturday, which was great. He only got a couple snaps against Alabama, kind of got his feet wet, hurt us a little bit on a third down or so. Played really well Saturday, and I think he's going to get more and more comfortable the more and more he plays.
Left side, Cease.
Mark, a philosophical question for a defensive coordinator. When you're facing a freshman like Kyle Allen, the flip side, as a defensive coordinator, do you scale a little bit just for the quarterback, or you still just look at the whole team when you're a defensive coordinator looking at the other team preparing?
Are you asking my opinion?
Yeah.
I usually heat up a young guy. Yeah, I do. I would go into the game plan saying I want to heat this guy up and see what he can do. And if they're max protected and things of that nature, then I got to get out of that. If I can't get home, then I can't get home.
I would think that, but I want to get your
Yeah,
opinion.
it all depends, But typically, if you're asking me my opinion, how we go about it, that would be my first thought process.
Right here in front, Brent.
I think it's safe to say that Myles Garrett has lived up to his billing so far. What's the next step for him in terms of his progress moving forward?
Well, the challenge for Myles is, okay, so we have the SEC sack record, right? Let's put it out of reach of anybody else. And long time's a long time. So we got a few more games here left. He's not where he needs to be. He knows that. Great player, great talent. But the conversations with him are, and he's a great kid, so and he's got great work ethic. I'm not worried about it. But, hey, let's put this thing out of reach. Why just break it? Why just not smash it and put it out of reach for anybody else to ever get again? And that's where we're at with him.
And when you say he has things he needs to work on, what are those?
Well, still, he's got, just pre-snap awareness of, obviously when they're in light stances, he gets that now. If it's a passing down, he gets that part of it. But, where's the back located? Do I have a tight end? Just all kinds of pre-snap things that will make him such a better player down the road. Like I said, right now he's got one thing down pat. If he sees a light hand or a two-point stance, he knows sick him, get the ball. So he's got that part down. But there's some other parts that he can improve on.
Got time for one or two more. The back right side, Sam.
Mark, what do you think of Jared Johnson on Saturday, and how's he done overall lately?
Wow, high-effort guy, Sam. Just plays with a motor. He's that guy that brings all the things that we're looking for that we want this program to stand for. Play hard, be tough, be smart, give great effort, and I can live with what happens after that. But he's an exciting player to me. When I see that flash out there, most of the time I know it's Jared because his motor just don't stop. And that's a credit to he did that in high school. His high school coach, it's in his family. He's got a big-time high motor.
And where is Deshaun Hall at this
Day-Day's,
point?
Day-Day's, he's moving along. He's moving along. I told him last week, that's really the first glance I've seen of him being the old Day-Day. I'll just be honest with you. And that's what we talked about, and it was kind of a joke in the D-line room because you see his juice coming back. And it helps when you have guys like Miles and Jared, Reggie getting to get in the game, and you're sitting over there with me. That's a heck of a motivating factor. And he's got a smile back on his face again, and he's working his trade.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, gang.